I'm full. I can't eat anymore.
I'm full. I can't eat anymore.
Go down this street, then turn left.
Go down this street, then turn left.
Your answer is satisfying. I feel satisfied.
Your answer is satisfying. I feel satisfied.
It's wonderful. I like it very much.
It's wonderful. I like it very much.
Don't make so much noise. I'm working.
Don't make so much noise. I'm working.
How many are there in your family?
How many are there in your family?
What would you like to eat?
What would you like to eat?
Our company employed about 100 people.
Our company employed about 100 people.
We need more than listening. We need action.
We need more than listening. We need action.
So do I see you later. Keep in touch.
So do I see you later. Keep in touch.
Should I go this way, or that way?
Should I go this way, or that way?
Your right hand is swollen. Does it hurt?
Your right hand is swollen. Does it hurt?
Would you please pass the salt?
Would you please pass the salt?
It's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit this afternoon.
It's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit this afternoon.
Mr. Green is a member of the faculty.
Mr. Green is a member of the faculty.
State-owned enterprises are getting out of difficulty.
State-owned enterprises are getting out of difficulty.
The doctor's words made him feel comfortable.
The doctor's words made him feel comfortable.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
What's the quickest way to get there?
What's the quickest way to get there?
Growth, however, brings new problems and concerns.
Growth, however, brings new problems and concerns.
The restaurant doesn't open until 7:45.
The restaurant doesn't open until 7:45.
You live here in the city, don't you?
You live here in the city, don't you?
Would you please give me a hand?
Would you please give me a hand?
I was born on November 1st, 1935.
I was born on November 1st, 1935.
How far is it to the university?
How far is it to the university?
Can I take a message for him?
Can I take a message for him?
Is there a bus to the airport?
Is there a bus to the airport?
Yes, I want to buy a shirt.
Yes, I want to buy a shirt.
This round table weighs about 45 pounds.
This round table weighs about 45 pounds.
What do you think you are doing?
What do you think you are doing?
What's your brother planning to do tomorrow?
What's your brother planning to do tomorrow?
I can't believe a word you say.
I can't believe a word you say.
How long did the movie last?
How long did the movie last?
After eating breakfast, I go back upstairs again.
After eating breakfast, I go back upstairs again.
What will the weather be like tomorrow?
What will the weather be like tomorrow?
Do you know any of those people?
Do you know any of those people?
Which do you prefer, fishing or mountain climbing?
Which do you prefer, fishing or mountain climbing?
I'll probably stay home and watch television.
I'll probably stay home and watch television.
What do you think of my children?
What do you think of my children?
Who do you think you're talking to?
Who do you think you're talking to?
See you again in the near future.
See you again in the near future.
I beg your pardon. Is this seat taken?
I beg your pardon. Is this seat taken?
My right arm hurts. It hurts right here.
My right arm hurts. It hurts right here.
Which direction is it to the theater?
Which direction is it to the theater?
Do you know what time it is?
Do you know what time it is?
How many passengers were on the train?
How many passengers were on the train?
Somebody's knocking at the door. I'll answer it.
Somebody's knocking at the door. I'll answer it.
Excuse me, sir. Can you give me some information?
Excuse me, sir. Can you give me some information?
Which one of those men is Mr. Taylor?
Which one of those men is Mr. Taylor?
My friend reads and writes several languages.
My friend reads and writes several languages.
I wish I had never met you.
I wish I had never met you.
Do you have glue? I need some here.
Do you have glue? I need some here.
What kind of breakfast did you have?
What kind of breakfast did you have?
They misplaced this book under other categories.
They misplaced this book under other categories.
We enjoyed driving along the new expressway.
We enjoyed driving along the new expressway.
Would you please do me a favor?
Would you please do me a favor?
He was absent yesterday. Do you know why?
He was absent yesterday. Do you know why?
Please make an appointment with my secretary.
Please make an appointment with my secretary.
The doctor examined the soldier's wound carefully.
The doctor examined the soldier's wound carefully.
What kinds of vegetables do you have?
What kinds of vegetables do you have?
Whichever you choose, you won't be satisfied.
Whichever you choose, you won't be satisfied.
She intends to make teaching her profession.
She intends to make teaching her profession.
The people in Shenyang are very friendly.
The people in Shenyang are very friendly.
Are you used to the food here?
Are you used to the food here?
I'm telling you for the last time.
I'm telling you for the last time.
The meatpacking industry is developing fast.
The meatpacking industry is developing fast.
A clear conscience laughs at false accusation.
A clear conscience laughs at false accusation.
Yes, I'd like to buy a book.
Yes, I'd like to buy a book.
How do you spell your last name?
How do you spell your last name?
Why isn't Mrs. Lee's cat catching the mice?
Why isn't Mrs. Lee's cat catching the mice?
Would you tell Mr. Green that I called?
Would you tell Mr. Green that I called?
You're just a good-for-nothing bum.
You're just a good-for-nothing bum.
By the way, who are you waiting for?
By the way, Who are you waiting for?
Would you consider going north this summer?
Would you consider going north this summer?
Is he the tall man on the left?
Is he the tall man on the left?
What do you know about the 10th century?
What do you know about the 10th century?
He bothered me with a great many questions.
He bothered me with a great many questions.
It is said it will clear up tonight.
It is said it will clear up tonight.
She runs every day in order to lose weight.
She runs every day in order to lose weight.
Take a seat please, make yourself at home.
Take a seat please, make yourself at home.
I hope you enjoy your stay with us.
I hope you enjoy your stay with us.
I didn't see Mr. Jones, but I saw John.
I didn't see Mr. Jones, but I saw John.
Could you come back home early this evening?
Could you come back home early this evening?
I'll probably have eggs and toast for breakfast.
I'll probably have eggs and toast for breakfast.
Which one is the longest river in China?
Which one is the longest river in China?
We are all taking medicine against the disease.
We are all taking medicine against the disease.
What do you plan to do tomorrow?
What do you plan to do tomorrow?
I have bought a ticket for a sleeper.
I have bought a ticket for a sleeper.
It says a storm may come next month.
It says a storm may come next month.
I graduated from Yale University 5 years ago.
I graduated from Yale University 5 years ago.
I would rather sleep than watch this movie.
I would rather sleep than watch this movie.
My brother got up earlier than I did.
My brother got up earlier than I did.
This joke has gone a little too far.
This joke has gone a little too far.
My son wants to get married in June.
My son wants to get married in June.
Fashion is a very popular magazine in America.
Fashion is a very popular magazine in America.
What do you dislike most about this movie?
What do you dislike most about this movie?
If you have more, please give me some.
If you have more, please give me some.
Will you pick me up at my place?
Will you pick me up at my place?
John doesn't go out even in the summer.
John doesn't go out even in the summer.
I gave much time to the old car.
I gave much time to the old car.
He is a doctor. He has his own practice.
He is a doctor. He has his own practice.
I get up before 6 o'clock every day.
I get up before 6 o'clock every day.
Really? I was introduced to her just last weekend.
Really? I was introduced to her just last weekend.
You had already gone when I arrived there.
You had already gone when I arrived there.
I usually go to bed at about midnight.
I usually go to bed at about midnight.
After brushing my teeth, I put on my clothes.
After brushing my teeth, I put on my clothes.
How are you going? Are you going by boat?
How are you going? Are you going by boat?
I finished working at 5:30 and went home.
I finished working at 5:30 and went home.
They stared at the huge tiger with awe.
They stared at the huge tiger with awe.
I grew up right here in this neighborhood.
I grew up right here in this neighborhood.
He addressed the audience in an eloquent speech.
He addressed the audience in an eloquent speech.
We should make good use of our time.
We should make good use of our time.
Geographically, China is located in the Northern Hemisphere.
Geographically, China is located in the Northern Hemisphere.
The president-elect will be installed next week.
The president-elect will be installed next week.
Yes, I'm applying to work at the library.
Yes, I'm applying to work at the library.
What will you have for breakfast tomorrow morning?
What will you have for breakfast tomorrow morning?
I'm going skating in the Alps next month.
I'm going skating in the Alps next month.
He added some wood to increase the fire.
He added some wood to increase the fire.
Oh, thank you. How have you been these days?
Oh, thank you. How have you been these days?
I never want to see your face again.
I never want to see your face again.
I have just heard from my sister, Mary.
I have just heard from my sister, Mary.
She is a member of the ski club.
She is a member of the ski club.
What will it be after the clear weather?
What will it be after the clear weather?
Trust me, the game is really worth playing.
Trust me, the game is really worth playing.
Would you help me lift this heavy box?
Would you help me lift this heavy box?
My sister has been engaged for 2 months.
My sister has been engaged for 2 months.
The weight is too much for my height.
The weight is too much for my height.
The doctor began to operate on the boy.
The doctor began to operate on the boy.
Do you have any plan for your career?
Do you have any plan for your career?
I then take a bath in the bathroom.
I then take a bath in the bathroom.
Linda speaks as if she were a boss.
Linda speaks as if she were a boss.
Sorry, it's broken. You have to use the stairs.
Sorry, it's broken. You have to use the stairs.
The Constitution guards the liberty of the people.
The Constitution guards the liberty of the people.
The best-known movie awards are the Academy Awards.
The best-known movie awards are the Academy Awards.
Excuse me. Can you tell me the correct time?
Excuse me. Can you tell me the correct time?
I pick up my sister from her school.
I pick up my sister from her school.
What's the typical farm product in this region?
What's the typical farm product in this region?
You are welcome to stay with us next time.
You are welcome to stay with us next time.
Have you cleared your luggage with customs?
Have you cleared your luggage with customs?
How many years have you been playing ping pong?
How many years have you been playing ping pong?
I wish I had told him the truth.
I wish I had told him the truth.
What were you doing this time last year?
What were you doing this time last year?
His voice echoed in the big empty hall.
His voice echoed in the big empty hall.
How much is the rent for a month?
How much is the rent for a month?
I've forgotten what he said his address was.
I've forgotten what he said his address was.
Would you mind mailing this letter for me?
Would you mind mailing this letter for me?
Then, I brush my teeth and comb my hair.
Then, I brush my teeth and comb my hair.
It is not so easy as you think.
It is not so easy as you think.
I leave the house at 8 a.m. each day.
I leave the house at 8 a.m. each day.
They celebrated his birthday with a dance party.
They celebrated his birthday with a dance party.
We have known each other for 6 years.
We have known each other for 6 years.
My grandma is 40 years older than me.
My grandma is 40 years older than me.
How many workshops are there in your factory?
How many workshops are there in your factory?
They were glad of the examination being over.
They were glad of the examination being over.
You really have an ear for pop music.
You really have an ear for pop music.
He always forgets to wash behind his ears.
He always forgets to wash behind his ears.
I don't know how to express my gratitude.
I don't know how to express my gratitude.
The whole class is in a heated discussion.
The whole class is in a heated discussion.
This is a rather old house. It needs painting.
This is a rather old house. It needs painting.
I don't know what his native language is.
I don't know what his native language is.
Social customs vary greatly from country to country.
Social customs vary greatly from country to country.
My brother gets up later than I do.
My brother gets up later than I do.
I buy some food on my way home.
I buy some food on my way home.
Do you want to airmail it or not?
Do you want to airmail it or not?
I'd like to pick seashells this afternoon.
I'd like to pick seashells this afternoon.
Betty and Susan are talking on the telephone.
Betty and Susan are talking on the telephone.
Would you please open the door for me?
Would you please open the door for me?
Do you want to change before the banquet?
Do you want to change before the banquet?
I am afraid that I'll have to go.
I am afraid that I'll have to go.
The bat together with the balls was stolen.
The bat together with the balls was stolen.
Can you finish your work ahead of time?
Can you finish your work ahead of time?
They plan to immigrate to Finland next year.
They plan to immigrate to Finland next year.
Many people have been out of work recently.
Many people have been out of work recently.
But I plan to weed the yard today.
But I plan to weed the yard today.
I was sick yesterday, but I'm better today.
I was sick yesterday, but I'm better today.
What time do you get up every day?
What time do you get up every day?
Well done. You are always doing a good job.
Well done. You are always doing a good job.
Please sum up what you said just now.
Please sum up what you said just now.
All of those men are friends of mine.
All of those men are friends of mine.
Would you mind closing the window for me?
Would you mind closing the window for me?
The letter X stands for an unknown number.
The letter X stands for an unknown number.
I get up at 6 o'clock every day.
I get up at 6 o'clock every day.
His words are strongly impressed on my memory.
His words are strongly impressed on my memory.
This area is noted for its rich soil.
This area is noted for its rich soil.
Do you plan to do some odd jobs?
Do you plan to do some odd jobs?
You may pick whichever one you like best.
You may pick whichever one you like best.
I saw him playing football on the playground.
I saw him playing football on the playground.
What do you plan to do this Friday?
What do you plan to do this Friday?
Here we are. Row M, seats L and 3.
Here we are. Row M, seats L and 3.
The clerk helped me find what I wanted.
The clerk helped me find what I wanted.
The doctor advised me to give up smoking.
The doctor advised me to give up smoking.
When you called me, I was eating dinner.
When you called me, I was eating dinner.
They had expected me to go with them.
They had expected me to go with them.
Can I pay by check or credit card?
Can I pay by check or credit card?
I learned that I had passed the test.
I learned that I had passed the test.
Were there any letters for me this morning?
Were there any letters for me this morning?
Do you have change for a $20 bill?
Do you have change for a $20 bill?
What's wrong with you? What's the matter? Is anything wrong?
What's wrong with you? What's the matter? Is anything wrong?
To tell the truth, I don't like disco.
To tell the truth, I don't like disco.
Traveler's checks are very convenient for long-distance travel.
Traveler's checks are very convenient for long-distance travel.
I'm anxious to know what your decision is.
I'm anxious to know what your decision is.
What did you do the week before last?
What did you do the week before last?
He is a manager of a famous corporation.
He is a manager of a famous corporation.
Mary gave birth to a baby last week.
Mary gave birth to a baby last week.
There are lots of huge buildings in Beijing.
There are lots of huge buildings in Beijing.
You'll save time not waiting for the elevator.
You'll save time not waiting for the elevator.
I go to school by bike every day.
I go to school by bike every day.
You'd better put on your jacket. It's cold outside.
You'd better put on your jacket. It's cold outside.
I count you as one of my friends.
I count you as one of my friends.
An old man rented the big White House.
An old man rented the big White House.
Please give my best regards to your family.
Please give my best regards to your family.
I had lunch with a friend of mine.
I had lunch with a friend of mine.
He does exercises every day in the morning.
He does exercises every day in the morning.
Were there any exciting incidents during your journey?
Were there any exciting incidents during your journey?
I was in the hospital for several weeks.
I was in the hospital for several weeks.
Let me tell you some details about clearance.
Let me tell you some details about clearance.
I won't be able to see him today.
I won't be able to see him today.
He had to choose between death and dishonor.
He had to choose between death and dishonor.
What is worth doing is worth doing well.
What is worth doing is worth doing well.
I have to catch a plane. Could you hurry?
I have to catch a plane. Could you hurry?
Did you used to go fishing with friends?
Did you used to go fishing with friends?
The grass is moist early in the morning.
The grass is moist early in the morning.
It's the hottest day I've had so far.
It's the hottest day I've had so far.
It's odd that they didn't reply our letter.
It's odd that they didn't reply our letter.
I'd like to talk with Mr. John or Mr. Smith.
I'd like to talk with Mr. John or Mr. Smith.
He was married to a friend of mine.
He was married to a friend of mine.
Don't give me your excuses. No more excuses.
Don't give me your excuses. No more excuses.
They stopped talking when their boss came in.
They stopped talking when their boss came in.
She sang perfectly in the hall last night.
She sang perfectly in the hall last night.
I have a dog, but it's very quiet.
I have a dog, but it's very quiet.
Make me a cup of coffee, will you?
Make me a cup of coffee, will you?
I go out for lunch at about 12:30.
I go out for lunch at about 12:30.
As a senior, Peter is writing his thesis.
As a senior, Peter is writing his thesis.
Could you drop me off at the airport?
Could you drop me off at the airport?
Unlike her friends, she never gave up hope.
Unlike her friends, she never gave up hope.
Take 2 pills and have a good rest.
Take 2 pills and have a good rest.
How about Mary? How long has she lived there?
How about Mary? How long has she lived there?
Our school is in the east of Beijing.
Our school is in the east of Beijing.
The police are not allowed to accept rewards.
The police are not allowed to accept rewards.
When is the most convenient time for you?
When is the most convenient time for you?
You will soon get used to the work.
You will soon get used to the work.
What is the color of your new book?
What is the color of your new book?
Sigh, I'm so hungry. Can I have a bite?
Sigh, I'm so hungry. Can I have a bite?
What do you think of my new car?
What do you think of my new car?
I have received a letter from my cousin.
I have received a letter from my cousin.
They've been married for quite a few years.
They've been married for quite a few years.
Are you looking for a permanent position?
Are you looking for a permanent position?
The dress doesn't fit her. She is too thin.
The dress doesn't fit her. She is too thin.
May I have a look at the watch?
May I have a look at the watch?
You should have a mind of your own.
You should have a mind of your own.
How can I get in touch with you?
How can I get in touch with you?
Can you tell me where Peach Street is?
Can you tell me where Peach Street is?
The ice is hard enough to skate on.
The ice is hard enough to skate on.
We can't go out because of the rain.
We can't go out because of the rain.
He was appointed president of the committee recently.
He was appointed president of the committee recently.
She goes to work every day except Sunday.
She goes to work every day except Sunday.
But who will do all the housework?
But who will do all the housework?
Excuse me, have you got the time, please?
Excuse me, have you got the time, please?
That house is for sale. It has central heating.
That house is for sale. It has central heating.
The book you ask for is sold out.
The book you ask for is sold out.
I can give you a number of excuses.
I can give you a number of excuses.
You may as well tell me the truth.
You may as well tell me the truth.
How do I control myself? I can't calm down.
How do I control myself? I can't calm down.
He hired a workman to repair the fence.
He hired a workman to repair the fence.
Oh, how nice. Sorry, I've got to go now.
Oh, how nice. Sorry, I've got to go now.
I don't know if I'll have the patience.
I don't know if I'll have the patience.
Rose, let me introduce my friend to you.
Rouse, let me introduce my friend to you.
It's very kind of you to help me.
It's very kind of you to help me.
Do you think it's going to rain tomorrow?
Do you think it's going to rain tomorrow?
But last year we had a big one.
But last year we had a big one.
And it may get colder, it's already November.
And it may get colder, it's already November.
I'm looking for a gift for my friend.
I'm looking for a gift for my friend.
Go that way for 2 blocks, then turn left.
Go that way for 2 blocks, then turn left.
Manners are quite different from country to country.
Manners are quite different from country to country.
When she leaves, he'll cry for a day.
When she leaves, he'll cry for a day.
Would you like to go for a walk?
Would you like to go for a walk?
I don't doubt that he will help me.
I don't doubt that he will help me.
He spent most of his life gathering money.
He spent most of his life gathering money.
Will you be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow?
Will you be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow?
Let me see. She has 30 minutes Tuesday afternoon.
Let me see. She has 30 minutes Tuesday afternoon.
Which would you rather have, steak or fish?
Which would you rather have, steak or fish?
Great efforts ensure the success of our work.
Great efforts ensure the success of our work.
The doctor says that I should take quinine.
The doctor says that I should take quinine.
He lived in California until he was 17.
He lived in California until he was 17.
I am told that you dance wonderfully well.
I am told that you dance wonderfully well.
Jack is the strongest boy in the class.
Jack is the strongest boy in the class.
Do you know where I've put my glasses?
Do you know where I've put my glasses?
There are many training class and night classes.
There are many training class and night classes.
You can kill two birds with one stone.
You can kill two birds with one stone.
This is a good example of his poetry.
This is a good example of his poetry.
I am looking forward to your early reply.
I am looking forward to your early reply.
Open your books and turn to page 20.
Open your books and turn to page 20.
He sat with his arms across the chest.
He sat with his arms across the chest.
I'm always making resolutions, like giving up smoking.
I am always making resolutions, like giving up smoking.
This country is famous for its beautiful lakes.
This country is famous for its beautiful lakes.
I'd like to cash a traveler's check, please.
I'd like to cash a traveler's check, please.
I want to be a journalist after graduation.
I want to be a journalist after graduation.
Are you ready for your dessert now?
Are you ready for your dessert now?
We're planning a tour to Italy this summer.
We're planning a tour to Italy this summer.
I'd like to make an appointment with Mrs. Green.
I'd like to make an appointment with Mrs. Green.
Lumbering is very important in some underdeveloped countries.
Lumbering is very important in some underdeveloped countries.
It was your turn to wash them yesterday.
It was your turn to wash them yesterday.
My brother wants to learn how to dance.
My brother wants to learn how to dance.
I used to get dressed quickly every morning.
I used to get dressed quickly every morning.
She was afraid that the dog would bite.
She was afraid that the dog would bite.
Take the east road, it's the shortest way.
Take the east road, it's the shortest way.
Don't forget to put stamps on your letter.
Don't forget to put stamps on your letter.
We are prohibited from smoking on school grounds.
We are prohibited from smoking on school grounds.
I have a lot of trouble with pronunciation.
I have a lot of trouble with pronunciation.
She sent me a Christmas card last year.
She sent me a Christmas card last year.
I'll call a taxi in case of need.
I'll call a taxi in case of need.
I have engaged a room at this hotel.
I have engaged a room at this hotel.
He has read every book on the shelves.
He has read every book on the shelves.
According to Mr. Green, this is a complicated problem.
According to Mr. Green, this is a complicated problem.
We are all in favor of this plan.
We are all in favor of this plan.
I'm not going to put up with this.
I'm not going to put up with this.
After breakfast, I'll get ready to go to work.
After breakfast, I'll get ready to go to work.
Listening with your heart is good for you.
Listening with your heart is good for you.
I want to be a pilot if possible.
I want to be a pilot if possible.
Please ask John to turn on the lights.
Please ask John to turn on the lights.
I went to see a friend of mine.
I went to see a friend of mine.
I am sick of always waiting for you.
I am sick of always waiting for you.
If you have time, will you call me tomorrow?
If you have time, will you call me tomorrow?
All I have to do is learn English.
All I have to do is learn English.
The brain needs a continuous supply of blood.
The brain needs a continuous supply of blood.
Could you direct me to the station, please?
Could you direct me to the station, please?
His friend was injured in an airplane crash.
His friend was injured in an airplane crash.
How long do you watch TV every day?
How long do you watch TV every day?
Excuse me, could you tell me the time?
Excuse me, could you tell me the time?
You should take the advice of your teacher.
You should take the advice of your teacher.
You've been working all morning, you deserve a rest.
You've been working all morning, you deserve a rest.
His cake is 3 times bigger than mine.
His cake is 3 times bigger than mine.
I'm not accustomed to going out after dark.
I'm not accustomed to going out after dark.
Bob has always had a crush on Lucy.
Bob has always had a crush on Lucy.
He dare not tell us his evil conduct.
He dare not tell us his evil conduct.
I bought it the day it was released.
I bought it the day it was released.
I'm not sure what time I'm coming back.
I'm not sure what time I'm coming back.
Sob. I didn't mean to kill it. I'm sorry, Birdie.
Sob. I didn't mean to kill it. I'm sorry, Birdie.
Your friend was here a week ago, wasn't he?
Your friend was here a week ago, wasn't he?
They ended the party off with a song.
They ended the party off with a song.
What time did you get up yesterday morning?
What time did you get up yesterday morning?
The city was all alive when he arrived.
The city was all alive when he arrived.
They don't know when the wedding will be.
They don't know when the wedding will be.
What do you want to do after graduation?
What do you want to do after graduation?
It is an excellent novel in every way.
It is an excellent novel in every way.
I hope the weather there is cold enough.
I hope the weather there is cold enough.
I will do what is expected of me.
I will do what is expected of me.
I'll go on an outing with some friends.
I'll go on an outing with some friends.
I started school at the age of 6.
I started school at the age of 6.
It is desirable to apply to good schools.
It is desirable to apply to good schools.
There is a good restaurant on the street.
There is a good restaurant on the street.
We each have our private views about it.
We each have our private views about it.
I cannot agree with you on this point.
I cannot agree with you on this point.
There is an interesting film on Channel 1.
There is an interesting film on Channel 1.
Would you open the door for me, please?
Would you open the door for me, please?
How do you like our English literature professor?
How do you like our English literature professor?
He has many strange ideas in his mind.
He has many strange ideas in his mind.
The information industry helps boost the global economy.
The information industry helps boost the global economy.
The little boy left primary school at 11.
The little boy left primary school at 11.
He will probably follow in his father's footsteps.
He will probably follow in his father's footsteps.
He has bought 10 tractors for the village.
He has bought 10 tractors for the village.
Sometimes I make mistakes when I speak English.
Sometimes I make mistakes when I speak English.
Who but Jack would do such a thing?
Who but Jack would do such a thing?
How many sisters and brothers do you have?
How many sisters and brothers do you have?
They covered 120 miles in a single night.
They covered 120 miles in a single night.
She spent a lot of money on books.
She spent a lot of money on books.
Has anybody else anything to say on this?
Has anybody else anything to say on this?
Excuse me, would you give me a hand?
Excuse me, would you give me a hand?
What do you do in your spare time?
What do you do in your spare time?
Can you adapt yourself to the new job?
Can you adapt yourself to the new job?
That will be $18.75.
That will be $18.75.
You should have your suit cleaned and ironed.
You should have your suit cleaned and ironed.
I'm duty-bound to visit my old aunt.
I'm duty-bound to visit my old aunt.
What is the exact size of the room?
What is the exact size of the room?
I'm sorry. I have no idea where it is.
I'm sorry. I have no idea where it is.
I cannot put up with my noisy roommates.
I cannot put up with my noisy roommates.
My friend spent his childhood in California.
My friend spent his childhood in California.
I want to make a long-distance call.
I want to make a long-distance call.
I don't know. You may look in the TV guide.
I don't know. You may look in the TV guide.
Do you think people are a company's greatest wealth?
Do you think people are a company's greatest wealth?
Newspapers and periodicals keep me updated on current affairs.
Newspapers and periodicals keep me updated on current affairs.
I could say nothing but that I was sorry.
I could say nothing but that I was sorry.
They say the new film is an adventure story.
They say the new film is an adventure story.
Old tunes are sweetest and old friends are surest.
Old tunes are sweetest and old friends are surest.
I'm you always tired when I come home from work.
I'm always tired when I come home from work.
I'm not sure whether I have locked the door.
I'm not sure whether I have locked the door.
I'd like to make an appointment to see Mr. Cooper.
I'd like to make an appointment to see Mr. Cooper.
The movie began as soon as we got there.
The movie began as soon as we got there.
To make it fast, you can send a fax.
To make it fast, you can send a fax.
The advertising campaign didn't have much effect on sales.
The advertising campaign didn't have much effect on sales.
The color of her dress suits her very well.
The color of her dress suits her very well.
I have a headache, and she has a stomachache.
I have a headache, and she has a stomachache.
He devoted his life to the study of science.
He devoted his life to the study of science.
I will see you off at the railway station.
I will see you off at the railway station.
He usually stays at home with his pet dog.
He usually stays at home with his pet dog.
We used to have a lot of interesting friends.
We used to have a lot of interesting friends.
He has to take care of his sick mother.
He has to take care of his sick mother.
He decided to bring a suit against his boss.
He decided to bring a suit against his boss.
She will go into business when she likes to.
She will go into business when she likes to.
The restaurant was filled, so we decided to go elsewhere.
The restaurant was filled, so we decided to go elsewhere.
She is easily the best lawyer in the city.
She is easily the best lawyer in the city.
They don't often have a bad day this year.
They don't often have a bad day this year.
Most of the Earth's surface is covered by water.
Most of the Earth's surface is covered by water.
Why don't I pick you up at your house?
Why don't I pick you up at your house?
We've got to do something about the neighbor's dog.
We've got to do something about the neighbor's dog.
We invited 2 guests to dinner, but they didn't come.
We invited 2 guests to dinner, but they didn't come.
I want to persuade you to change your mind.
I want to persuade you to change your mind.
Many young girls dream of being a fashion model.
Many young girls dream of being a fashion model.
He is eager for you to meet his friends.
He is eager for you to meet his friends.
No one knows the location of the hidden treasure.
No one knows the location of the hidden treasure.
I am on my way to the grocery store.
I am on my way to the grocery store.
We can't get good pictures on our TV set.
We can't get good pictures on our TV set.
My watch is fast and your watch is slow.
My watch is fast and your watch is slow.
If it doesn't rain tomorrow, we'll have a picnic.
If it doesn't rain tomorrow, we'll have a picnic.
Yes, I have both your hat and your coat.
Yes, I have both your hat and your coat.
That's a beautiful leather wallet, but it costs too much.
That's a beautiful leather wallet, but it costs too much.
I don't feel at ease in this strange place.
I don't feel at ease in this strange place.
I am looking forward to your visit next week.
I am looking forward to your visit next week.
Let's just run through the arguments for and against.
Let's just run through the arguments for and against.
I was writing some letters to friends of mine.
I was writing some letters to friends of mine.
I lost 2 teeth, my contract, and the game.
I lost 2 teeth, my contract, and the game.
It's quite an effort to lift this heavy box.
It's quite an effort to lift this heavy box.
Get me a hammer from the kitchen, will you?
Get me a hammer from the kitchen, will you?
I wondered if you could buy me some pencils.
I wondered if you could buy me some pencils.
My fever is gone, but I still have a cough.
My fever is gone, but I still have a cough.
He had passed the entrance examination of the college.
He had passed the entrance examination of the college.
Why Mr. Cooper so tired? Do you have any idea?
Why Mr. Cooper so tired? Do you have any idea?
I was on the track team 10 years ago.
I was on the track team 10 years ago.
It's bleeding. You'd better see a doctor about that cut.
It's bleeding. You'd better see a doctor about that cut.
The company is eager to expand into new markets.
The company is eager to expand into new markets.
How can he give us such a tedious lecture?
How can he give us such a tedious lecture?
The witnesses' statements just don't agree with each other.
The witnesses' statements just don't agree with each other.
Why on earth didn't you tell me the truth?
Why on earth didn't you tell me the truth?
We'll have fine weather for the next few days?
We'll have fine weather for the next few days.
The boys listened to my story with eager attention.
The boys listened to my story with eager attention.
This window is just as wide as that one.
This window is just as wide as that one.
She told me she wanted to start a company.
She told me she wanted to start a company.
He can't dress himself yet because he's too young.
He can't dress himself yet because he's too young.
My country has an area of 500,000 square kilometers.
My country has an area of 500,000 square kilometers.
What time did you get to work yesterday morning?
What time did you get to work yesterday morning?
In Brazil, many ancient forests are very well preserved.
In Brazil, many ancient forests are very well preserved.
I fell in love with her at first sight.
I fell in love with her at first sight.
I'm doing some washing and John is cooking dinner.
I'm doing some washing and John is cooking dinner.
When I get sleepy, I'll probably get ready for bed.
When I get sleepy, I'll probably get ready for bed.
It is tomorrow that they will have a meeting.
It is tomorrow that they will have a meeting.
I'm leaving tomorrow, but I haven't packed my suitcases yet.
I'm leaving tomorrow, but I haven't packed my suitcases yet.
He said he was educated in the United States.
He said he was educated in the United States.
You have to apply for a passport in advance.
You have to apply for a passport in advance.
They have to work hard to support their family.
They have to work hard to support their family.
He has tasted the sweets and bitters of life.
He has tasted the sweets and bitters of life.
My father is at home looking for the ticket.
My father is at home looking for the ticket.
The days get longer and the nights get shorter.
The days get longer and the nights get shorter.
He was admitted to the hospital suffering from burns.
He was admitted to the hospital suffering from burns.
The little girl is not very clever at addition.
The little girl is not very clever at addition.
Her diligence has set an example to the others.
Her diligence has set an example to the others.
I assume you've decided against buying a new car.
I assume you've decided against buying a new car.
I had a hamburger and a fried chicken leg.
I had a hamburger and a fried chicken leg.
They've been working on this project since last year.
They've been working on this project since last year.
Now she looks pale as if she were ill.
Now she looks pale as if she were ill.
I wouldn't worry about it, if I were you.
I wouldn't worry about it, if I were you.
I'm thinking of hanging the lamp from the ceiling.
I'm thinking of hanging the lamp from the ceiling.
He's not in. May I take a message for him?
He's not in. May I take a message for him?
You are still thinking about a PhD, aren't you?
You are still thinking about a PhD, aren't you?
I subscribed to a lot of periodicals last year.
I subscribed to a lot of periodicals last year.
Will you connect this wire to the television?
Will you connect this wire to the television?
The sight of the dead body scared him stiff.
The sight of the dead body scared him stiff.
I don't know the exact terms of the contract.
I don't know the exact terms of the contract.
I do not care whether it rains or not.
I do not care whether it rains or not.
I hope he will meet me at the airport.
I hope he will meet me at the airport.
I suppose I can finish the project next year.
I suppose I can finish the project next year.
I would like to wash the clothes for you.
I would like to wash the clothes for you.
Let's go out to have a dinner, shall we?
Let's go out to have a dinner, shall we?
Do you have any plans for the long weekend?
Do you have any plans for the long weekend?
My grandpa died of hunger in the old days.
My grandpa died of hunger in the old days.
Could you tell me where the nearest telephone is?
Could you tell me where the nearest telephone is?
I get to work at 9 o'clock every morning.
I get to work at 9 o'clock every morning.
There is fierce competition in the college entrance examination.
There is fierce competition in the college entrance examination.
He's made up his mind to quit his job.
He's made up his mind to quit his job.
How long will it take me to get there?
How long will it take me to get there?
The doctor asked me to watch what I eat.
The doctor asked me to watch what I eat.
I'd rather have some tea, if you don't mind.
I'd rather have some tea, if you don't mind.
Do you happen to know Mr. Cooper's telephone number?
Do you happen to know Mr. Cooper's telephone number?
His vanity was hurt by their talking so frankly.
His vanity was hurt by their talking so frankly.
We shall find out the truth early or late.
We shall find out the truth early or late.
As you know, I am a very kind person.
As you know, I am a very kind person.
Many great men have risen from poverty, Lincoln, for example.
Many great men have risen from poverty, Lincoln, for example.
If you add 4 to 5, you get 9.
If you add 4 to 5, you get 9.
No, I only wrote her one letter this year.
No, I only wrote her one letter this year.
They'll have a party for their 10th wedding anniversary.
They'll have a party for their 10th wedding anniversary.
The statesman retired as the mayor of New York.
The statesman retired as the mayor of New York.
There was an air of excitement at the meeting.
There was an air of excitement at the meeting.
Long ago, people believed that the world was flat.
Long ago, people believed that the world was flat.
They played a shameful part in the whole affair.
They played a shameful part in the whole affair.
What will you do the day after on next?
What will you do the day after on next?
I woke up 7 and got up right away.
I woke up 7 and got up right away.
The new play was good and everybody enjoyed it.
The new play was good and everybody enjoyed it.
This church is a classic example of medieval architecture.
This church is a classic example of medieval architecture.
Please do not enter before knocking on the door.
Please do not enter before knocking on the door.
Is this the fight bus for the Capitol Library?
Is this the fight bus for the Capitol Library?
Children enter primary school at the age of 7.
Children enter primary school at the age of 7.
I always used to leave for work at 8:30.
I always used to leave for work at 8:30.
I hope you will come back to Shenyang again.
I hope you will come back to Shenyang again.
What's so interesting about football? We girls don't like it.
What's so interesting about football? We girls don't like it.
They are arguing over who should pay the bill.
They are arguing over who should pay the bill.
There was much news in the morning paper today.
There was much news in the morning paper today.
The restaurant is across the street from the hotel.
The restaurant is across the street from the hotel.
Is this your pen? I found it under the desk.
Is this your pen? I found it under the desk.
His wife died a year ago. Now he lives alone.
His wife died a year ago. Now he lives alone.
When I saw Mr. Jones, he was talking with John Smith.
When I saw Mr. Jones, he was talking with John Smith.
They're building a new house up the street.
They're building a new house up the street.
He thinks himself somebody, but we think him nobody.
He thinks himself somebody, but we think him nobody.
According to these figures, our company is doing well.
According to these figures, our company is doing well.
The enormous increase of population will create many problems.
The enormous increase of population will create many problems.
They called us just as we were having dinner.
They called us just as we were having dinner.
Do you really want to know what I think?
Do you really want to know what I think?
My brother is twice as tall as your sister.
My brother is twice as tall as your sister.
My brother is 2 years younger than I am.
My brother is 2 years younger than I am.
Can you guess what I was doing this morning?
Can you guess what I was doing this morning?
The minister is busy with important affairs of state.
The minister is busy with important affairs of state.
It is clear that the cat has eaten it.
It is clear that the cat has eaten it.
I am filled with desire to go back home.
I am filled with desire to go back home.
He has a nice sum of money put away.
He has a nice sum of money put away.
The thief broke into the house during the night.
The thief broke into the house during the night.
The mother sat the child at a little table.
The mother sat the child at a little table.
He's tired because he worked hard all day today.
He's tired because he worked hard all day today.
What you have said about this is very interesting.
What you have said about this is very interesting.
I'll probably go out for lunch at about 12:30.
I'll probably go out for lunch at about 12:30.
It's been 5 years since I last saw you.
It's been 5 years since I last saw you.
Yes, I like it a great deal. It very much.
Yes, I like it a great deal. It very much.
It is a very beautiful country with many mountains.
It is a very beautiful country with many mountains.
The truth is quite other than what you think.
The truth is quite other than what you think.
Number 13 buses run much more frequently, don't they?
Number 13 buses run much more frequently, don't they?
Everyone must receive 9 years of compulsory education.
Everyone must receive 9 years of compulsory education.
If Tom cannot keep his promise, he'll lose face.
If Tom cannot keep his promise, he'll lose face.
It seemed as if there was no way out.
It seemed as if there was no way out.
What do you like best, apples, pears, or bananas?
What do you like best, apples, pears, or bananas?
We have saved some money against our old age.
We have saved some money against our old age.
Computers are becoming a part of our everyday life.
Computers are becoming a part of our everyday life.
Ducks know how to swim when they are born.
Ducks know how to swim when they are born.
I have a lot in common with my sister.
I have a lot in common with my sister.
Would you please tell Mr. John that I'm here?
Would you please tell Mr. John that I'm here?
The nurse assisted the doctor in the operating room.
The nurse assisted the doctor in the operating room.
The examination put a lot of stress on him.
The examination put a lot of stress on him.
Yes. I wouldn't go home early if I were you.
Yes. I wouldn't go home early if I were you.
Is the plane along the river good for farming?
Is the plane along the river good for farming?
It's only a party in honor of my birthday.
It's only a party in honor of my birthday.
I'm sorry, these 2 books are 3 days overdue.
I'm sorry, these 2 books are 3 days overdue.
I haven't heard from her for a long time.
I haven't heard from her for a long time.
His cake is 4 times as big as mine.
His cake is 4 times as big as mine.
What are you going to do with the books?
What are you going to do with the books?
Your appointment will be next Thursday at 10 o'clock.
Your appointment will be next Thursday at 10 o'clock.
Do you feel like going to that new disco?
Do you feel like going to the new disco?
She is standing in the front of the bus.
She is standing in the front of the bus.
I aimed at the target but hit the wall.
I aimed at the target but hit the wall.
I shave, brush my teeth, and comb my hair.
I shave, brush my teeth, and comb my hair.
There is no one but hopes to be rich.
There is no one but hopes to be rich.
As soon as he comes, we'll let him know.
As soon as he comes, we'll let him know.
Does the shop open at 9 a.m. on weekdays?
Does the shop open at 9 a.m. on weekdays?
We need to cooperate perfectly to win the game.
We need to cooperate perfectly to win the game.
I don't want to put you to any trouble.
I don't want to put you to any trouble.
The earth in the garden is good, soft soil.
The earth in the garden is good, soft soil.
The cast of the play included a famous actor.
The cast of the play included a famous actor.
I recommend to you Time and Newsweek. They are excellent.
I recommend to you Time and Newsweek. They are excellent.
He holds a position of great responsibility upon him.
He holds a position of great responsibility upon him.
I don't know whether it will rain or not.
I don't know whether it will rain or not.
They are only too delighted to accept the invitation.
They are only too delighted to accept the invitation.
Despite all our efforts, we still lost the game.
Despite all our efforts, we still lost the game.
He dreamed of traveling to remote South Sea islands.
He dreamed of traveling to remote South Sea islands.
If you would only try, you could do it.
If you would only try, you could do it.
I can't remember what John was doing yesterday afternoon.
I can't remember what John was doing yesterday afternoon.
I'm going to the bookstore. Will you go with me?
I'm going to the bookstore. Will you go with me?
There is a mark of ink on his shirt.
There is a mark of ink on his shirt.
While you were writing letters, I was reading a book.
While you were writing letters, I was reading a book.
There's nothing to do because tomorrow is a holiday.
There's nothing to do because tomorrow is a holiday.
1/3 of this area is covered with forest.
1/3 of this area is covered with forest.
It's faster to go by plane than by boat.
It's faster to go by plane than by boat.
He is expected to win the game with ease.
He is expected to win the game with ease.
Try to look on the bright side of things.
Try to look on the bright side of things.
I have my lunch in a snack bar nearby.
I have my lunch in a snack bar nearby.
Do you have enough time to finish the paper?
Do you have enough time to finish the paper?
Then, it's usually time to wake up my little brother.
Then, it's usually time to wake up my little brother.
Which one would you like, this one or that one?
Which one would you like, this one or that one?
I haven't heard from him for a long time.
I haven't heard from him for a long time.
He said he would rather not tell his age.
He said he would rather not tell his age.
You can't go in no matter who you are.
You can't go in no matter who you are.
Hi, Jack, what lessons will you take this semester?
Hi, Jack, what lessons will you take this semester?
She makes it clear that she doesn't like swimming.
She makes it clear that she doesn't like swimming.
In this country, the weather is usually very awful.
In this country, the weather is usually very awful.
He never misses a chance to see a movie.
He never misses a chance to see a movie.
He said he knew a lot of people there.
He said he knew a lot of people there.
The police told everybody to remain in their cars.
The police told everybody to remain in their cars.
She's been quite different since coming back from America.
She's been quite different since coming back from America.
Are you going to go any place this year?
Are you going to go any place this year?
The brothers differ from each other in their interests.
The brothers differ from each other in their interests.
It is the best film that I have ever seen.
It is the best film that I have ever seen.
If you do not go, I shall not go either.
If you do not go, I shall not go either.
He's a very efficient young man, though a little proud.
He's a very efficient young man, though a little proud.
She failed to call the office to cancel her appointment.
She failed to call the office to cancel her appointment.
I'll leave for London if I finish my work today.
I'll leave for London if I finish my work today.
This way, he can kill two birds with one stone.
This way, he can kill two birds with one stone.
Learn to say the fight thing at the fight time.
Learn to say the fight thing at the fight time.
Could you tell me what the maximum weight allowance is?
Could you tell me what the maximum weight allowance is?
I had thought he knew the time of the meeting.
I had thought he knew the time of the meeting.
No matter what happened, he would not say a word.
No matter what happened, he would not say a word.
Many people complain that computers are taking over their jobs.
Many people complain that computers are taking over their jobs.
I'm sorry, but both of them are busy right now.
I'm sorry, but both of them are busy right now.
I used to work until nearly 6 o'clock each day.
I used to work until nearly 6 o'clock each day.
We are going to have the final examination next week.
We are going to have the final examination next week.
What do you say we have a party this weekend?
What do you say we have a party this weekend?
Altogether it will take 10 days to make the trip.
Altogether it will take 10 days to make the trip.
A young married couple moved in next door to us.
A young married couple moved in next door to us.
I have to change my appointment from Monday to Thursday.
I have to change my appointment from Monday to Thursday.
I have so many things to do before I leave.
I have so many things to do before I leave.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
What do you like to do in your spare time?
The news of the radiation leak caused widespread public alarm.
The news of the radiation leak caused widespread public alarm.
There used to be a grocery store on the corner.
There used to be a grocery store on the corner.
However, Susan has not really made up her mind yet.
However, Susan has not really made up her mind yet.
Yes, but you know global warming may raise the temperature.
Yes, but you know global warming may raise the temperature.
It is a popular show, so advance booking is essential.
It is a popular show, so advance booking is essential.
Every man is fool sometimes, but none at all times.
Every man is fool sometimes, but none at all times.
Please ask her to call me back when she's back.
Please ask her to call me back when she's back.
The feature started at 9 o'clock and ended at 11:30.
The feature started at 9 o'clock and ended at 11:30.
The land in this region is rather dry and parched.
The land in this region is rather dry and parched.
Do you think you'll go to the movies tomorrow night?
Do you think you'll go to the movies tomorrow night?
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Could you tell me where I can find these books?
Could you tell me where I can find these books?
I will be back by the end of next month.
I will be back by the end of next month.
I am familiar with the casual atmosphere in the company.
I am familiar with the casual atmosphere in the company.
Had I taken a taxi, I wouldn't have been late.
Had I taken a taxi, I wouldn't have been late.
I used to take a walk in the early morning.
I used to take a walk in the early morning.
I used to start working at 9 o'clock every day.
I used to start working at 9 o'clock every day.
What time are you going to get up tomorrow morning?
What time are you going to get up tomorrow morning?
It's been a whole year since I last saw you.
It's been a whole year since I last saw you.
I wash his face and hands, and then I dress him.
I wash his face and hands, and then I dress him.
What's the average yearly output of cars in your factory?
What's the average yearly output of cars in your factory?
There is hope so long as he is with us.
There is hope so long as he is with us.
I'm going to call a plumber to come this afternoon.
I'm going to call a plumber to come this afternoon.
The biggest festival in my country is the Spring Festival.
The biggest festival in my country is the Spring Festival.
I've been there already and don't want to go again.
I've been there already and don't want to go again.
Could you tell me where I can wash my hands?
Could you tell me where I can wash my hands?
I feel I am the happiest person in the world.
I feel I am the happiest person in the world.
The car raised quite a dust as we drove off.
The car raised quite a dust as we drove off.
Before I eat dinner, I read the newspaper for a while.
Before I eat dinner, I read the newspaper for a while.
There are a lot of people in the swimming pool.
There are a lot of people in the swimming pool.
It has been a long time since last came here.
It has been a long time since last came here.
In the flat country, people grow wheat and raise cattle.
In the flat country, people grow wheat and raise cattle.
You can receive our program at shortwave 37.5 mH.
You can receive our program at shortwave 37.5 mH.
I will speak against anything I know to be wrong.
I will speak against anything I know to be wrong.
I'm going to call the employment agency for a job.
I'm going to call the employment agency for a job.
This river is 1/3 as long as that river.
This river is 1/3 as long as that river.
I have 2 cats. One is white, the other is black.
I have 2 cats. One is white, the other is black.
Hang up my coat in the closet, will you please?
Hang up my coat in the closet, will you please?
It's only a suggestion, you don't have to take it.
It's only a suggestion, you don't have to take it.
He wants to change his appointment from Monday to Wednesday.
He wants to change his appointment from Monday to Wednesday.
What time did you use to get up last year?
What time did you use to get up last year?
Will you come and join us for dinner on Sunday?
Will you come and join us for dinner on Sunday?
I am old enough to make up my own mind.
I am old enough to make up my own mind.
At the end of the film, the hero wept bitterly.
At the end of the film, the hero wept bitterly.
The population of the city is close to 1 million.
The population of the city is close to 1 million.
After that, I go downstairs to the kitchen to have breakfast.
After that, I go downstairs to the kitchen to have breakfast.
I received an invitation, but I did not accept it.
I received an invitation, but I did not accept it.
What were you doing at about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon?
What were you doing at about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon?
It took him a little time to fix that watch.
It took him a little time to fix that watch.
It is more important to be healthy than bony slim.
It is more important to be healthy than bony slim.
Would you like to go to a party with me?
Would you like to go to a party with me?
I don't think it will lead to a good result.
I don't think it will lead to a good result.
The Beatles represented part of the spirit of their age.
The Beatles represented part of the spirit of their age.
It's against the rules to handle the ball in soccer.
It's against the rules to handle the ball in soccer.
Start a company? But I thought she would be a scholar.
Start a company? But I thought she would be a scholar.
There are 26 votes for him and 8 against him.
There are 26 votes for him and 8 against him.
I'm afraid I have some rather bad news for you.
I'm afraid I have some rather bad news for you.
I dig songs and I like pop music very much.
I dig songs and I like pop music very much.
This cellar room is very damp in the rainy season.
This cellar room is very damp in the rainy season.
I hope we can see each other again sometime.
I hope we can see each other again sometime.
I'm afraid it won't be cold enough for a snowfall.
I'm afraid it won't be cold enough for a snowfall.
A man is accounted innocent until he is proven guilty.
A man is accounted innocent until he is proven guilty.
I wish I'd known about that rule earlier, she said.
I wish I'd known about that rule earlier, she said.
Go along the corridor and it's on your right side.
Go along the corridor and it's on your right side.
Where were you during the month of April last year?
Where were you during the month of April last year?
I'm hoping to spend a few days in the mountains.
I'm hoping to spend a few days in the mountains.
I'll still love her even if she doesn't love me.
I'll still love her even if she doesn't love me.
All at once, a rabbit came out of a hole.
All at once, a rabbit came out of a hole.
I hope that will not cause you too much trouble.
I hope that will not cause you too much trouble.
And now medical care helps to keep people alive longer.
And now medical care helps to keep people alive longer.
She insists that it doesn't make any difference to her.
She insists that it doesn't make any difference to her.
You forget to write down the date of your departure.
You forget to write down the date of your departure.
Only by working hard can we succeed in doing everything.
Only by working hard can we succeed in doing everything.
I'm going shopping because I need to buy some clothes.
I'm going shopping because I need to buy some clothes.
Would you like to arrange for a personal interview?
Would you like to arrange for a personal interview?
I tried to call you, but the line was busy.
I tried to call you, but the line was busy.
I believe I haven't reached the summit of my career.
I believe I haven't reached the summit of my career.
What kind of climate do you have in this country?
What kind of climate do you have in this country?
I went to sleep immediately and slept soundly all night.
I went to sleep immediately and slept soundly all night.
He glared at Bill, ready to teach him a lesson.
He glared at Bill, ready to teach him a lesson.
He has earned a lot of money in this month.
He has earned a lot of money in this month.
Of course I want to know what your opinion is.
Of course I want to know what your opinion is.
I had to sit up all night writing the report.
I had to sit up all night writing the report.
I want an apartment with 2 bedrooms and a kitchen.
I want an apartment with 2 bedrooms and a kitchen.
Noise is unpleasant, especially when you are trying to sleep.
Noise is unpleasant, especially when you are trying to sleep.
While we were having breakfast, John was talking on the telephone.
While we were having breakfast, John was talking on the telephone.
He didn't want to say anything to influence my decision.
He didn't want to say anything to influence my decision.
The number 13 bus will take you to the hospital.
The number 13 bus will take you to the hospital.
The harder I study, the better my English will be.
The harder I study, the better my English will be.
I once took a part-time job delivering the Evening Post.
I once took a part-time job delivering the Evening Post.
I found your coat after you had left the house.
I found your coat after you had left the house.
I always used to ask him a lot of questions.
I always used to ask him a lot of questions.
My elder sister is 1 year older than her husband.
My elder sister is 1 year older than her husband.
I'm writing to a friend of mine in South American.
I'm writing to a friend of mine in South American.
Not until last week did I get a work permit.
Not until last week did I get a work permit.
I worked as an intern in that firm last summer.
I worked as an intern in the firm last summer.
We'll have a soap opera series on TV this week.
We'll have a soap opera series on TV this week.
The doctor says that I should not eat anything oily.
The doctor says that I should not eat anything oily.
He has stopped working and leads a very easy life.
He has stopped working and leads a very easy life.
This is by far the largest cake in the world.
This is by far the largest cake in the world.
Is there any evidence to support what you have said?
Is there any evidence to support what you have said?
At noon I had lunch with a friend of mine.
At noon I had lunch with a friend of mine.
No wonder you can't sleep when you eat so much.
No wonder you can't sleep when you eat so much.
If this shirt doesn't fit, may I bring it back later?
If this shirt doesn't fit, may I bring it back later?
The sun was shining and the sky was crystal clear.
The sun was shining and the sky was crystal clear.
The thief jumped into a car and made his escape.
The thief jumped into a car and made his escape.
We got a bad headache, and my nose is running.
We got a bad headache, and my nose is running.
I get out of bed about 7 o'clock every morning.
I get out of bed about 7 o'clock every morning.
I'll probably wake up early and get up at 6:30.
I'll probably wake up early and get up at 6:30.
Send a postcard to me when you arrive in Shanghai.
Send a postcard to me when you arrive in Shanghai.
Many people believe that overweight results from overeating and stress.
Many people believe that overweight results from overeating and stress.
He set up a fine example to all of us.
He set up a fine example to all of us.
You have your choice of 3 flavors of ice cream.
You have your choice of 3 flavors of ice cream.
It's bleeding. You'd better go see a doctor about that cut.
It's bleeding. You'd better go see a doctor about that cut.
I hope you have a good time on your trip.
I hope you have a good time on your trip.
Most people eat, write, and work with their right hands.
Most people eat, write, and work with their right hands.
Are you going to have dinner at home tomorrow night?
Are you going to have dinner at home tomorrow night?
They're going to discuss it at the meeting next Friday.
They're going to discuss it at the meeting next Friday.
I have 4 books and 2 magazines to check out.
I have 4 books and 2 magazines to check out.
Tom has been to Japan. I have also been there.
Tom has been to Japan. I have also been there.
Go straight ahead and turn left at the second crossing.
Go straight ahead and turn left at the second crossing.
He knows it's inconvenient, but he wants to go anyway.
He knows it's inconvenient, but he wants to go anyway.
The fresh air in the morning made him feel glad.
The fresh air in the morning made him feel glad.
I can't afford to go to a restaurant every day.
I can't afford to go to a restaurant every day.
Excuse me, how can I get to the bus station?
Excuse me, how can I get to the bus station?
She shouted on the mountaintop and listened for the echo.
She shouted on the mountaintop and listened for the echo.
I have never heard the piece before. Who wrote it?
I have never heard the piece before. Who wrote it?
I'll meet you at the entrance of the zoo tomorrow.
I'll meet you at the entrance of the zoo tomorrow.
Which do you like better, the news or the editorial?
Which do you like better, the news or the editorial?
I shall travel to New York by air this weekend.
I shall travel to New York by air this weekend.
You don't have to pay any duty on personal belongings.
You don't have to pay any duty on personal belongings.
Wait a moment, I'll be with you in an instant.
Wait a moment, I'll be with you in an instant.
I'd like something spicy. I'd like something not spicy.
I'd like something spicy. I'd like something not spicy.
The customs asked me if I had anything to declare.
The customs asked me if I had anything to declare.
It's not too heavy, but I don't know the exact weight.
It's not too heavy, but I don't know the exact weight.
Who bought that new house down the street from you?
Who bought the new house down the street from you?
I woke up early and got up at 6 o'clock.
I woke up early and got up at 6 o'clock.
Yes, I worked from early morning until late at night.
Yes, I worked from early morning until late at night.
I really think a little exercise would do you good.
I really think a little exercise would do you good.
By the time we got there, the play had already begun.
By the time we got there, the play had already begun.
I dress my sister and wash her hands and face.
I dress my sister and wash her hands and face.
Although we can't see these atoms, they really do exist.
Although we can't see these atoms, they really do exist.
The old lady enjoys a quiet life with her family.
The old lady enjoys a quiet life with her family.
You should always depend on yourself rather than someone else.
You should always depend on yourself rather than someone else.
Would you please go to a dancing party with me?
Would you please go to a dancing party with me?
He gave me a chest X-ray and took my blood pressure.
He gave me a chest X-ray and took my blood pressure.
It's difficult to make a decision without knowing all the facts.
It's difficult to make a decision without knowing all the facts.
We used to go to the movies about once a week.
We used to go to the movies about once a week.
I will never forget the days that I spent with you.
I will never forget the days that I spent with you.
How much do you know about the works of George Eliot?
How much do you know about the works of George Eliot?
On Sundays I often spend some time reading in the library.
On Sundays I often spend some time reading in the library.
It is no matter whether you get there early or late.
It is no matter whether you get there early or late.
So you'll come then. Please phone in if you can't make it.
So you'll come then. Please phone in if you can't make it.
The police had to employ force to break up the crowd.
The police had to employ force to break up the crowd.
Even if you take the exam again, you won't pass it.
Even if you take the exam again, you won't pass it.
I cannot express how glad I am to hear from him.
I cannot express how glad I am to hear from him.
I was born in China and brought up in the USA.
I was born in China and brought up in the USA.
I like writing, but I wouldn't take it as my career.
I like writing, but I wouldn't take it as my career.
I was born in a little town not far from here.
I was born in a little town not far from here.
This is too small for me. Do you have a bigger one?
This is too small for me. Do you have a bigger one?
My brother used to speak French to me all the time.
My brother used to speak French to me all the time.
My aunt will come to live with me for some days.
My aunt will come to live with me for some days.
If you install an outside antenna, you will have better reception.
If you install an outside antenna, you will have better reception.
I left at 6 o'clock so that I could catch the train.
I left at 6 o'clock so that I could catch the train.
I'm glad to, but I'm afraid I don't have the time.
I'm glad to, but I'm afraid I don't have the time.
Let's go out to the airport. The plane landed 10 minutes ago.
Let's go out to the airport. The plane landed 10 minutes ago.
It is generally accepted that smoking is harmful to our health.
It is generally accepted that smoking is harmful to our health.
Thanks for your advice, but I have to consider it myself.
Thanks for your advice, but I have to consider it myself.
I never grow tired of novels, though I read them every day.
I never grow tired of novels, though I read them every day.
Do you like to take a local train or an express?
Do you like to take a local train or an express?
What time are you going to leave for the airport tomorrow?
What time are you going to leave for the airport tomorrow?
A dictionary is an invaluable aid in learning a new language.
A dictionary is an invaluable aid in learning a new language.
There must be something wrong with the engine of my car.
There must be something wrong with the engine of my car.
I gave the alarm as soon as I saw the smoke.
I gave the alarm as soon as I saw the smoke.
After getting up, I go into the bathroom and take a shower.
After getting up, I go into the bathroom and take a shower.
I don't want to see any more of this TV show.
I don't want to see any more of this TV show.
Would he have seen you if you hadn't waved to him?
Would he have seen you if you hadn't waved to him?
I assure you that you will feel no pain at all.
I assure you that you will feel no pain at all.
There's nothing better for you than plenty of water and sleep.
There's nothing better for you than plenty of water and sleep.
I'll work for 5 years and then go back to school.
I'll work for 5 years and then go back to school.
My friend Tom is a reporter for the New York Times.
My friend Tom is a reporter for the New York Times.
After dinner I read a magazine and made some telephone calls.
After dinner I read a magazine and made some telephone calls.
I forgot to prepare the speech I'm supposed to give today.
I forgot to prepare the speech I'm supposed to give today.
She is working for her double major in English and economics.
She is working for her double major in English and economics.
A good knowledge of English will improve your chances of employment.
A good knowledge of English will improve your chances of employment.
I can't help eating sweets whenever they are in my presence.
I can't help eating sweets whenever they are in my presence.
My cousin has just been promoted to the rank of major.
My cousin has just been promoted to the rank of major.
If I have enough money, I'm going to take a trip abroad.
If I have enough money, I'm going to take a trip abroad.
In spite of the heavy rain, she went to the shop.
In spite of the heavy rain, she went to the shop.
I thought it was a reasonable proposal, but he didn't agree.
I thought it was a reasonable proposal, but he didn't agree.
I am so full that I would burst with another bite.
I am so full that I would burst with another bite.
Which would you rather do, go dancing or go to cinema?
Which would you rather do, go dancing or go to cinema?
I have to drop by the bank to get some money.
I have to drop by the bank to get some money.
I used to set my alarm clock for exactly 7 a.m.
I used to set my alarm clock for exactly 7 a.m.
I'll finish working at 5:30 and get home by 6 o'clock.
I'll finish working at 5:30 and get home by 6 o'clock.
A group of us went out to the theater last night.
A group of us went out to the theater last night.
What have you been doing since I saw you last time?
What have you been doing since I saw you last time?
What I do on my own time is nobody else's business.
What I do on my own time is nobody else's business.
That was the third time that I had visited the place.
That was the third time that I had visited the place.
Although my uncle is old, he looks very strong and healthy.
Although my uncle is old, he looks very strong and healthy.
Excuse me, madam. Could you tell me where the post office is?
Excuse me, madam. Could you tell me where the post office is?
Can you tell me the phone number of the inquiry office?
Can you tell me the phone number of the inquiry office?
This knife is dirty. Would you bring me a clean one, please?
This knife is dirty. Would you bring me a clean one, please?
There's going to be a pottery exhibition at the art gallery.
There's going to be a pottery exhibition at the art gallery.
He tries to button his own shirt, but he can't do it.
He tries to button his own shirt, but he can't do it.
Tom and Mary congratulated us on the birth of our daughter.
Tom and Mary congratulated us on the birth of our daughter.
I find classical concerts more to my liking than rock concerts.
I find classical concerts more to my liking than rock concerts.
As a matter of fact, he was pretending to be ill.
As a matter of fact, he was pretending to be ill.
Yes, but you look as pretty now, as you do then.
Yes, but you look as pretty now, as you did then.
On being introduced to somebody, a British person often shakes hands.
On being introduced to somebody, a British person often shakes hands.
Please excuse me for a little while. I want to do something.
Please excuse me for a little while. I want to do something.
He already has a phonograph, but he doesn't have a radio yet.
He already has a phonograph, but he doesn't have a radio yet.
I'll probably see you tomorrow, but in any event I'll phone.
I'll probably see you tomorrow, but in any event I'll phone.
I'll be waiting for you at the restaurant this time tomorrow.
I'll be waiting for you at the restaurant this time tomorrow.
No wonder people say that computers are taking over the world.
No wonder people say that computers are taking over the world.
Excuse me. Can you tell me how to get to Mr. Who's restaurant?
Excuse me. Can you tell me how to get to Mr. Who's restaurant?
I used to have lunch every day at the same time.
I used to have lunch every day at the same time.
It is said he has secret love affairs with 2 women.
It is said he has secret love affairs with 2 women.
It took him a long time to make up his mind.
It took him a long time to make up his mind.
My parents are retired and now live a life of ease.
My parents are retired and now live a life of ease.
Along the northern coast of this continent, there are many crags.
Along the northern coast of this continent, there are many crags.
When I arrived at the station, the train had already left.
When I arrived at the station, the train had already left.
What were you doing when I called you on the telephone?
What were you doing when I called you on the telephone?
The hardest thing to learn is to be a good loser.
The hardest thing to learn is to be a good loser.
Could you tell me your secret for a long, happy life?
Could you tell me your secret for a long, happy life?
What I want to do is different from those of others.
What I want to do is different from those of others.
If you take my advice, you won't tell anyone about this.
If you take my advice, you won't tell anyone about this.
Walking up and down the stairs would beat any exercise machine.
Walking up and down the stairs would beat any exercise machine.
We have a few kitchen things and a dining room set.
We have a few kitchen things and a dining room set.
If I were you, I would not be bothered by English.
If I were you, I would not be bothered by English.
We've tried our best to effect reconciliation between the two parties.
We've tried our best to effect reconciliation between the two parties.
Have you read the article about the rescue of the hostage?
Have you read the article about the rescue of the hostage?
If you don't work, you will fail to pass the exam.
If you don't work, you will fail to pass the exam.
As far as policy is concerned, I have to say something.
As far as policy is concerned, I have to say something.
I'm usually just using the search engines to look up information.
I'm usually just using the search engines to look up information.
Yes, and I hope we can have some snow this winter.
Yes, and I hope we can have some snow this winter.
How would you go to Beijing, by air or by train?
How would you go to Beijing, by air or by train?
He usually drops in at my place on his way home.
He usually drops in at my place on his way home.
I heard the clock, but I didn't get up until 9.
I heard the clock, but I didn't get up until 9.
The only feasting I do these days is in my dream.
The only feasting I do these days is in my dream.
Would you be so kind as to lend me some money?
Would you be so kind as to lend me some money?
Parliament has passed an act forbidding the killing of rare animals.
Parliament has passed an act forbidding the killing of rare animals.
I've forgotten what time he said he had dinner last night.
I've forgotten what time he said he had dinner last night.
He talks as if he were the head of the office.
He talks as if he were the head of the office.
The sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
The sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
Goodness, I do hope this isn't a loud gun. I hate noise.
Goodness, I do hope this isn't a loud gun. I hate noise.
I slipped on the stairs and fell down. I broke my leg.
I slipped on the stairs and fell down. I broke my leg.
As I had plenty of money, I was able to help her.
As I had plenty of money, I was able to help her.
I used to wake up early and get up at 7 o'clock.
I used to wake up early and get up at 7 o'clock.
Then I asked him if he knew anybody in New York.
Then I asked him if he knew anybody in New York.
You can stay as long as you pay the rent on time.
You can stay as long as you pay the rent on time.
He appears to be your friend, but I doubt if he is.
He appears to be your friend, but I doubt if he is.
I used to have dinner at 7:30 and go to bed early.
I used to have dinner at 7:30 and go to bed early.
I'll go to pick up some odds and ends at the store.
I'll go to pick up some odds and ends at the store.
It opens at 8 a.m. on weekdays, but at 9 at weekends.
It opens at 8 a.m. on weekdays, but at 9 at weekends.
Not only did I know her, but I was her best friend.
Not only did I know her, but I was her best friend.
If it had been fine, we would have gone to the park.
If it had been fine, we would have gone to the park.
The waiter seems to be in a hurry to take our order.
The waiter seems to be in a hurry to take our order.
You can take the bus and get off at the second stop.
You can take the bus and get off at the second stop.
My brother and I used to go a lot of places together.
My brother and I used to go a lot of places together.
After I had finished my paper, I put it in the drawer.
After I had finished my paper, I put it in the drawer.
Do you think you'll be able to go to sleep right away?
Do you think you'll be able to go to sleep right away?
I am in charge of the company when the manager is out.
I am in charge of the company when the manager is out.
I borrowed a notebook from Tom and I lent it to Mary.
I borrowed a notebook from Tom and I lent it to Mary.
He came out of the library, a large book under his arm.
He came out of the library, a large book under his arm.
If there's a chance you'll go, I'd like to go with you.
If there's a chance you'll go, I'd like to go with you.
It's cold and foggy in London at this time of the year.
It's cold and foggy in London at this time of the year.
At bedtime, I take off my clothes and put on my pajamas.
At bedtime, I take off my clothes and put on my pajamas.
In my opinion, your new coat is not worth so much money.
In my opinion, your new coat is not worth so much money.
Excuse me, would you tell me where I can get some butter?
Excuse me, would you tell me where I can get some butter?
It took us only a few minutes to get through the customs.
It took us only a few minutes to get through the customs.
The late arrival of the ship had messed up all our plans.
The late arrival of the ship had messed up all our plans.
With all these mouths to feed, he didn't know what to do.
With all these mouths to feed, he didn't know what to do.
All of those houses have been built in the last 10 years.
All of those houses have been built in the last 10 years.
It's supposed to start at 6:30 sharp, but I doubt it will.
It's supposed to start at 6:30 sharp, but I doubt it will.
On behalf of my company, I would like to welcome you here.
On behalf of my company, I would like to welcome you here.
Today it is common that women and girls make up in public.
Today it is common that women and girls make up in public.
I imagine I'll do some work instead of going to the movies.
I imagine I'll do some work instead of going to the movies.
There was a big crowd and we had difficulty getting a taxi.
There was a big crowd and we had difficulty getting a taxi.
After you think it over, please let me know what you decide.
After you think it over, please let me know what you decide.
At this time of the year farmers begin to plow their fields.
At this time of the year farmers begin to plow their fields.
I would never have thought of it if you hadn't mentioned it.
I would never have thought of it if you hadn't mentioned it.
I must admit, it's more difficult than I thought it would be.
I must admit, it's more difficult than I thought it would be.
I'm vacuuming the floor now and have several shirts to iron.
I'm vacuuming the floor now and have several shirts to iron.
There is a broken small old gray stone bridge over the river.
There is a broken small old gray stone bridge over the river.
After the play was over, we all wanted to get something to eat.
After the play was over, we all wanted to get something to eat.
One of my suitcases is small, and the other one is medium size.
One of my suitcases is small, and the other one is medium size.
A new system of taxation will be brought into effect next year.
A new system of taxation will be brought into effect next year.
Many people prefer living in the country to living in the town.
Many people prefer living in the country to living in the town.
The date of the meeting has been advanced from Friday to Monday.
The date of the meeting has been advanced from Friday to Monday.
There have been great advances in medicine in the last 10 years.
There have been great advances in medicine in the last 10 years.
We talk about reducing our costs, but it's easier said than done.
We talk about reducing our costs, but it's easier said than done.
He asked me some personal questions, but I would never answer them.
He asked me some personal questions, but I would never answer them.
I will continue my learning, though I am tired of learning English.
I will continue my learning, though I am tired of learning English.
I would be very grateful for information about entry to your college.
I would be very grateful for information about entry to your college.
Earthenware has an advantage over wood in being more easily kept clean.
Earthenware has an advantage over wood in being more easily kept clean.
His skill in negotiating earned him a reputation as a shrewd tactician.
His skill in negotiating earned him a reputation as a shrewd tactician.
The maximum weight allowance is 60 kilos per traveler, excluding hand luggage.
The maximum weight allowance is 60 kilos per traveler, excluding hand luggage.
In many countries, more and more companies are replacing people with computers.
In many countries, more and more companies are replacing people with computers.
How can I climb up that wall? I wish I were a bird.
How can I climb up that wall? I wish I were a bird.
Make it an hour and a half. We have to get more food.
Make it an hour and a half. We have to get more food.
Do you think you'll be able to go to sleep right away?
Do you think you'll be able to go to sleep right away?
The room has a big closet. You can put your baggage in it.
The room has a big closet. You can put your baggage in it.
Will you please measure this window to see how wide it is?
Will you please measure this window to see how wide it is?
I feel at home living here. The landlady is very kind to me.
I feel at home living here. The landlady is very kind to me.
I have to transfer to number 832 bus, but where is the bus stop?
I have to transfer to number 832 bus, but where is the bus stop?
Will it be convenient for you to explain your plans to him?
Will it be convenient for you to explain your plans to him?
I find my name on the blackboard. I must have got a remittance.
I find my name on the blackboard. I must have got a remittance.
Mr. Smith knew Jack didn't look at the others because he was nervous.
Mr. Smith knew Jack didn't look at the others because he was nervous.
Yes, you're right. After all, she is smart enough to go into business.
Yes, you're right. After all, she is smart enough to go into business.
I hope that I can get a decent job with a good salary.
I hope that I can get a decent job with a good salary.
I left the house at 8 o'clock and got to work at 8:30.
I left the house at 8 o'clock and got to work at 8:30.
I get into bed at about 11:30 and go right off to sleep.
I get into bed at about 11:30 and go right off to sleep.
How much cloth does it take to make a skirt for the girl?
How much cloth does it take to make a skirt for the girl?
Take it easy, you will be all right in a couple of days.
Take it easy, you will be alright in a couple of days.
None of us can equal her, either in beauty or as a dancer.
None of us can equal her, either in beauty or as a dancer.
I'll leave the house at 8 o'clock and get to the office at 8:30.
I'll leave the house at 8 o'clock and get to the office at 8:30.
The rabbit ran to the woods and did not come back anymore.
The rabbit ran to the woods and did not come back anymore.
There have been a lot of changes here in the last 20 years.
There have been a lot of changes here in the last 20 years.
He will become a writer if he goes on doing well in writing.
He will become a writer if he goes on doing well in writing.
I will love you until the seas run dry and the rocks crumble.
I will love you until the seas run dry and the rocks crumble.
My little brother takes a bath before he goes to bed at night.
My little brother takes a bath before he goes to bed at night.
We keep in touch with each other by email since he left China.
We keep in touch with each other by email since he left China.
I dropped the letter into the mailbox in front of the post office.
I dropped the letter into the mailbox in front of the post office.
I would like to express to all of you here our sincere welcome.
I would like to express to all of you here our sincere welcome.
Since I'm here, I'd like to try a typical dish of this country.
Since I'm here, I'd like to try a typical dish of this country.
Had it not been for the alarm clock, she wouldn't have been late.
Had it not been for the alarm clock, she wouldn't have been late.
The TV programs were really boring, so I went to bed very early.
The TV programs were really boring, so I went to bed very early.
You might as well throw your money away as spend it in gambling.
You might as well throw your money away as spend it in gambling.
Can you put me in the picture about the World Cup football match?
Can you put me in the picture about the World Cup football match?
However you may work hard, the boss will not be fully satisfied.
However you may work hard, the boss will not be fully satisfied.
I often take my mind off my work by reading an interesting novel.
I often take my mind off my work by reading an interesting novel.
You may not like him, but you have got to admire his persistence.
You may not like him, but you have got to admire his persistence.
Don't shout into my ears like that, I can hear you perfectly well.
Don't shout into my ears like that, I can hear you perfectly well.
He goes home early every day for fear that his wife would be angry.
He goes home early every day for fear that his wife would be angry.
I regret to inform you that we are unable to offer you employment.
I regret to inform you that we are unable to offer you employment.
If you really want my advice, I don't think you should quit school.
If you really want my advice, I don't think you should quit school.
The cupboards in her kitchen were full of things she did not need.
The cupboards in her kitchen were full of things she did not need.
I'm certain he'll go to see the film, because he's bought a ticket.
I'm certain he'll go to see the film, because he's bought a ticket.
If I had got enough money yesterday, I would have bought that tape.
If I had got enough money yesterday, I would have bought that tape.
In the west of America, there are many high peaks and deep canyons.
In the west of America, there are many high peaks and deep canyons.
Why don't you find a job and end this dependence upon your parents?
Why don't you find a job and end this dependence upon your parents?
My daughter is 18 years old and has grown into a beautiful lady.
My daughter is 18 years old and has grown into a beautiful lady.
Yet all these things, different as they seem, have one thing in common.
Yet all these things, different as they seem, have one thing in common.
I don't think it's necessary for us to discuss this question any further.
I don't think it's necessary for us to discuss this question any further.
The scenery is very beautiful in the small islands in the Pacific Oceans.
The scenery is very beautiful in the small islands in the Pacific Oceans.
Unfortunately, you'll have to pay the fine before you check those books out.
Unfortunately, you'll have to pay the fine before you check those books out.
Her rich experience gave her an advantage over other applicants for the job.
Her rich experience gave her an advantage over other applicants for the job.
We were greatly aided in our investigation by the cooperation of the police.
We were greatly aided in our investigation by the cooperation of the police.
Politicians should not engage in business affairs that might affect their political judgment.
Politicians should not engage in business affairs that might affect their political judgment.
You look like $1 million. You look outstanding. You look like a movie star.
You look like $1 million. You look outstanding. You look like a movie star.
Go on for about 100 meters. It's on your left side. You can't miss it.
Go on for about 100 meters. It's on your left side. You can't miss it.
There being no one to help me, I had to do it all alone.
There being no one to help me, I had to do it all alone.
I supposed him to be very clever, but he was in fact a fool.
I supposed him to be very clever, but he was in fact a fool.
I would have had a much better holiday if I had stayed at home.
I would have had a much better holiday if I had stayed at home.
If he had not broken his tooth, he would not be in hospital now.
If he had not broken his tooth, he would not be in hospital now.
How long does it take for a letter to get to America from Beijing?
How long does it take for a letter to get to America from Beijing?
She likes Mike a lot, but she doesn't want to get married so early.
She likes Mike a lot, but she doesn't want to get married so early.
Will you please try to find out for me what time the train arrives?
Will you please try to find out for me what time the train arrives?
If she finds out you spilled ink on her coat, she'll blow her stack.
If she finds out you spilled ink on her coat, she'll blow her stack.
Why don't you put an advertisement in the paper to sell that old car?
Why don't you put an advertisement in the paper to sell that old car?
I want to take a walk along the riverbank, singing my favorite songs.
I want to take a walk along the riverbank, singing my favorite songs.
What would you have done if you hadn't gone out for a picnic yesterday?
What would you have done if you hadn't gone out for a picnic yesterday?
There's no gas range in the kitchen, but you can use the electric stove.
There's no gas range in the kitchen, but you can use the electric stove.
When I was young, I'd listen to the radio, waiting for my favorite songs.
When I was young, I'd listen to the radio, waiting for my favorite songs.
Combining exercise with a diet may be the most effective way to lose weight.
Combining exercise with the diet may be the most effective way to lose weight.
There are mice next to the refrigerator, under the sink and inside the cupboard.
There are mice next to the refrigerator, under the sink and inside the cupboard.
If you buy that home, will you spend the rest of your life there?
If you buy that home, will you spend the rest of your life there?
You are just putting on a little weight. I believe you'll get that off easily.
You are just putting on a little weight. I believe you'll get that off easily.
He does not pay attention to anybody. You are wasting your time in persuading him.
He does not pay attention to anybody. You are wasting your time in persuading him.
He won the first game and I won the second, so now we are even.
He won the first game and I won the second, so now we are even.
All my best memories come back clearly to me, some can even make me cry.
All my best memories come back clearly to me, some can even make me cry.
We should not only know the theory but also how to apply it to practice.
We should not only know the theory but also how to apply it to practice.
This is the most wonderful day of my life, because I'm here with you now.
This is the most wonderful day of my life, because I'm here with you now.
Looking back on it, I think I shouldn't have given up the contest so easily.
Looking back on it, I think I shouldn't have given up the contest so easily.
I had thought about living with my grandparents when my parents went abroad last year.
I had thought about living with my grandparents when my parents went abroad last year.
Tom has opened his own business while his classmates are still slogging away at school.
Tom has opened his own business while his classmates are still slogging away at school.
In addition to giving a general introduction to computer, the course also provides practical experience.
In addition to giving a general introduction to computer, the course also provides practical experience.
What he said did not annoy me much, for I knew he did not mean it.
What he said did not annoy me much, for I knew he did not mean it.
I don't care where we go as long as we don't have to stand in line.
I don't care where we go as long as we don't have to stand in line.
The period in which man learned to make tools of iron is called the Iron Age.
The period in which man learned to make tools of iron is called the Iron Age.
I had thought about arguing with the teacher about that, but I didn't have enough courage.
I had thought about arguing with the teacher about that, but I didn't have enough courage.
According to our records, the books you have borrowed should now be returned to the library.
According to our records, the books you have borrowed should now be returned to the library.
Hi. You guys keep talking so loudly that I have to speak at the top of my voice.
Hi. You guys keep talking so loudly that I have to speak at the top of my voice.
Even if you had given him much more money, he might not have paid off the debt.
Even if you had given him much more money, he might not have paid off the debt.
My mother has sent me a registered letter. I guess she has something important to tell me.
My mother has sent me a registered letter. I guess she has something important to tell me.